Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a video that the illustrious Kazawaki issued me as a challenge. Or not a challenge, but more as another subscriber request. God damn, that back tire grips well. And that request was tips for beginners riding in the wet and or rain. So what I have today is wet. It was raining this morning. It's not raining now, and I'm not going to apologize for that because I'm not upset it's not raining, but the surface is still wet, and we're going to go through what you should and shouldn't do in the wet from my experience. And just as a disclaimer, I am not a qualified bike trainer, nor am I like a super good bike rider. You know, I don't race on tracks or anything like that. What I do have is a decent amount of experience on crappy Irish roads in these conditions. So we'll get right into it. The first thing you want to do if you're riding in the wet is make sure your bike's in good condition. And what I mean by your bike being in good condition is your tires mainly. If you have bad tires on your bike and you go out to ride in the rain, and if you want to know what I mean by that, have a look at my review on the Metzelders that I just have on this bike, on the rear on this bike, is the Roadtech 01. Because if the right tire will give you so much confidence in the wet, and it's important that you have a proper touring tire on the bike. If you go out and you have semi-slick, you know, track oriented tires on your bike, you're gonna have a bad time. It doesn't matter how good a rider you are, they just don't grip. It's not what they're designed for. They don't clear water. They're a slick. So you have to bear that in mind. And anyone who wants to argue with me, just have a look at the tires that MotoGP and Moto2 and Moto3 run in the wet. Look at all the treads there. What those treads are designed for is to clear water. So generally the front tire kicks it out to the sides to keep it away from the back tire. Obviously if they just cleared it directly into the path of the back tire, you know, your back tire is going to have to do all of the work to the two tires. So the front clears a certain amount and then the back clears the rest. And the back doesn't need to kick it out completely to the sides as much, obviously, because there's not another tire following it. It still does kick. I don't know, can you see it on my back tire when I ride through water on the little camera, but it just clears the water well. So tip number 2, which is, it might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't think of it and then have accidents because of it. Don't go as fast. Slow down. Honestly, you might be like, oh, obviously, but a lot of people have crashed in the past because they're going too fast in the rain. A friend of mine being one of them. And if you were to ask him now, at the time he blamed his bike, he blamed his tires, he blamed oil on the water, he blamed just about everything except himself. But it was his fault. He was going too fast, which he admits now, many years later, and having done a little bit of growing up. That'd be point 2. Just take it easier. So, as well, a big thing, and if you've done your IBT, and I've also done a video on the IBT, so go look at that. But if you've done your IBT, you'll also know that you brake differently in the wet. So the official recommendation is 50-50 in the wet, so 50 front brake, 50 back brake, and in the dry 70-30. Now obviously a lot of people will go ham on the front brake in the dry and maybe go 90-10, but just as a generalization, 70-30, and then in the wet 50-50. And why you do that is you don't really want to kick out your front and or your back and just have one of them overtake the other. Another big thing is lean angle. So if you look up your tire specifications, they'll give you like a maximum lean angle in the dry and a maximum recommended lean angle in the wet with a certain amount of millimeters of rain on the road. Now what does that mean? That means, so for instance, my old tire, the Dunlops, they said they supported a maximum 45-degree lean in up to 10 millimeters of water. Now where do these get tested? They get tested on lovely smooth surface tracks with a controlled amount of water entering onto the surface of the track at all times. It doesn't account for crap that's washed onto the road. It doesn't account for dirt that's on the road. It doesn't account for bumps that are on the road. It doesn't account for any of those things. So in the wet, generally, just lean less. But the thing is, and I'm going to try to remember to put a link in for a video that Fortnite did on tyre grip in the wet, because he is more intelligent than I will ever be and knows more about bikes than I'll ever know. So I'll throw that in and have a look at that, because he explains, you know, your loss of grip or otherwise, or you're more likely your non-loss of grip. It's actually getting sunny out now. But for instance, in the dry you'll have X amount, and on a damp road like now you'll also have X amount. It'll be a little bit reduced, but nothing major. When you get into trouble is standing water, and that's really where you don't want to be leaning too much. If you're leaning and you hit standing water, your bike's just going to shoot out from under you, because essentially, you know, you'll hit it and it'll turn into a big, kind of like a mat that just slips out from underneath your tires, and then your bike goes bye-bye. So you can see how much I'm leaning right now, you know. I'm perfectly comfortable in the wet, leaning my bike to a certain amount, but I just won't go as far as I would in the dry. And it's also because, you know, I'm boring and have a top box. The other thing I'll say, which is actually something that I know might sound weird, right? I've already said have suitable tires and, you know, slow down and, you know, don't lean too much, etc. and braking and all that good stuff. Make sure you have the correct gear on. If you ride in the rain, you're going to get cold, right, if you don't have the right gear. So I have waterproof gloves. I know I don't have them on right now, but they are in my top box. But if you don't have waterproof gloves or some form of glove to protect your hands, and obviously the rest of your body too, if you don't have a rain suit, have good textiles. If you don't have good textiles, bring a bin bag. If you get very wet and very cold, your brain slows down, your hands react slower, your feet react slower, your muscles move slower. And all that means that you're more at risk if someone does something stupid in front of you, which they often do. Let's be honest. So wear the right gear, also very important. It's not you know, you can get really expensive stuff with Gore-Tex and all that good stuff, right? I don't have that. I have a RST gear that says it's waterproof and isn't. It's waterproof to a certain degree, but I do have fleece linings in it, and they do keep you relatively warm, and I do have waterproof gloves. And one thing that I should do that I don't have is I need to get waterproof boots. And it does slow you down, you know, because you're, instead of thinking about only what's in front of you and only what's on the road, you end up thinking about, you know, that your feet are cold and how uncomfortable you are, and how now they're in pain. So, you know, you want to avoid that at all costs as well. My last tip for beginners riding in the rain, another what might seem straightforward one, make sure you give cars in front of you plenty of space for the speed you're doing. If you're on a motorway, to be honest, if you're on a motorway and you're a beginner, get off the motorway, because it's absolutely horrendous. In heavy enough rain, you actually just can't see at all. It doesn't matter how close or how far behind people you are. The spray that comes up off cars is absolutely insane. Speaking from experience, you can't see. Like last night when I was on the motorway and it was raining very heavily, I was following cars and all I was following was the red lights. Now, would I recommend doing that? No, it's bloody stupid. What if a car driver decides they've had enough of life and decide to depart through the nearest crash barrier, and you're following the red lights mostly? You know, in that split second you realise that they have left their lane, you know, you could be in trouble. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. So what I would recommend doing is staying off the motorway. But in other roads, you know, give plenty of space, because they could do something unexpected, and if they do, you're screwed. You know, a bike stops slower than a car in general, and a bike stops a lot slower than a car in wet, and you really don't want to lock up your brakes in wet. I don't know, can you see Kev on the rear cam? Wave, Kev. He's sick of listening to my shite, I'm sure. So to finish off this video, what are my top recommendations? And I'll give 2 or 3, right? Oh, this is a nice corner. Really nice corner. Woohoo! That was fun. And that what I just did there, right? That's one of my recommendations. Make sure you have good tires. I know I've said it already, but I can't stress it enough. Have the right tires for what you're doing. You know, if you want, you can have summer tires, fine. But just make sure in winter that you have the availability. Thank you very much, nice Jeep. Woo! That was class. But make sure you have the right tyres on your bike for the job you're doing. Oh, bump! Yeah. And make sure that they're clean. So the other thing, the last thing I'll say on tyres, I promise, is remember that as you ride around, this is a bit slippy, come on, as you ride around you'll pick up dirt on the outside of your tyres, the bits that you're not using, and when you go back onto that outside edge for the first time, it's not going to be as grippy as you'd expect because it's dirty. It's not, you're not hitting tyre first, you're hitting dirt. Now it will clear off, but just not straight away, so just be aware of that. And that is why you never ride to 100% of what you can do. Make sure you're able to stop if someone does that. They didn't even see us. The last thing I will say is if you have the option to get it, make sure you get pin lock in your visor for rain. It will, I'm not going to say it's going to save your life or anything, you know, as exaggerated as that, but it will work wonders in the rain because it stops your visor fogging, and that could save your life. So yeah, those are my advice pieces for beginners. Hope you enjoyed that, Kazawaki. That's your recommended video. So until next time, thanks very much for watching. Adios. So outro crew, while I take off my lovely gloves, give me more suggestions if you have any more subscriber requested videos or anything like that. Let me know, because obviously I can't do these if you don't suggest any videos for me. So yeah, anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'm nearly at 800 subscribers, so share the video, share all my videos. Let's get me to 800.